All right, you ready?
Yep.
All righty. Well, hang on just a second. Well, hello. It's noon and it's expert panel time, and I am really excited today. Life's co-pilot is excited to introduce to you somebody I met at the uh, Marion County Council on Aging. Was a speaker there, but she is involved in a program called Home Repairs for Good. Am I correct on that? That
Yes.
title? I think you changed titles for the first time I met you. So yes.
Yep.
So I want to introduce Lisa Cole. And Lisa is talking about some of the things that they are doing as an organization that I doubt as very many people even know exists and that's out there for residents of Indianapolis or Marion County. So, Lisa, introduce yourself and tell us who you are and who Home Repairs for Good is all about.
Sure. So as Jim said, my name is Lisa Cole, and I am the Director of Community and Partner Engagement for Home Repairs for Good. And I've been in this role now for about 4.5 years. My background is healthcare, and actually, I also have a master's in gerontology. So I really relate very much to the mission of our organization, which is to provide home repairs for homeowners who are 62 or older or who have a disability living at or below 150% of the federal poverty level, which another way to say that is they're living at or below 30% AMI. But to drill that down and even further, that means that a single homeowner is living on less than $1,900 a month. And actually, right now, the monthly average of the people that we're serving is more around 1,500, a little bit over 1,500. So we're really reaching those most vulnerable here in Marion County, and we're doing those repairs at no cost to them so that they can age in place safely. And we've been at this work since 2013 when we were founded. Our name was NeighborLink Indianapolis. And so you may have heard us with that name. But in July, we officially changed over to Home Repairs for Good. Because quite honestly, NeighborLink Indianapolis, while it was a great way to get started, we were connected with an organization founded in Fort Wayne. And so they had a template for how to organize this kind of work, and also had technology that was very helpful to our founders when they started. As we've grown and continue to grow, we've outgrown that system. And we also find that NeighborLink Indianapolis doesn't really speak to what we do. And so I think uh, we're focused on home repairs, and it's for the good of the homeowner, so that they can stay in their home for good. It's for the good of the neighborhood, the community, and even for the volunteers that work with us. So we have found a very easy adjustment to rebranding. People seem to be relating to that name. Um, and we have been doing this work, as I said, since 2013. And at this point, we have completed more than 5,000 repairs and helped more than 1,500 homeowners. And right now for 2024, we're tracking a little over 800 repairs so far completed, and nearing 400 homeowners served with the work that we do. I will stop here for a minute, and I'm not going to formally introduce her because I hope she will quiet down. But I am battling a 18-month-old puppy that wants attention because I wasn't here this morning. So please bear with me. Hopefully she'll quiet down if I feed her enough treats. So um,
Well, as we were saying, I've got one that's 2 years old laying at my feet right now. So so far he's still down there. But yes,
yeah,
so we have help. So yes.
yes, that's right. That's right. Um, So the type of repairs that we do those kinds of accessibility repairs that can be as simple as a grab bar, or installing handrails. We do a lot of electrical repairs. In fact, that is where we have the largest waiting list. And that's very typical to what we see trending in the country. A lot of older homes need electrical repairs. So we right now have a hold on accepting any new electrical repairs just until we can get our waiting list down. We do plumbing and drain cleaning, HVAC repairs, exterior painting, gutter repairs and replacement, roof repairs, also major yard cleanups and structure tear downs. We do a lot of work with the Marion County Public Health Department in helping resolve citations that they may have placed on a home due to safety issues. And so that's the type of work that we do. And as I said, it is at no cost to the homeowner. The way that people connect with us is we have a client services phone number, and Jim can post that. But we recognize that because of the population we serve, many are not do not have access to a computer to access a website. So simply calling our number starts the process, and it prompts you to answer a few questions that helps us determine that you meet, our age requirement, that you are in the area that we serve in Marion County, that we can, your problems are fall within the scope of repairs that we can do, and then we start that process. So it is important to remember that when you call our number, you do need to leave a message, because we do not answer the phone 24/7, since we start the vetting process when we talk to you. So it is important to leave a message. We get a lot of self-referrals or referrals that come from 211 or case managers, family members, neighbors across the street. All of those are acceptable means to get plugged into our program.
So you obviously do a lot of this work. So how do you guys fund all this? Where's do you have, obviously you have supporters, but where's that? Is it
Yeah. So we are right now, we are about 80% grant funded, but with the volume of work that we do, it's challenging to be so reliant on grants. We also rely on individual and corporate contributions. We do get some local government funding, but we have recently, as of this summer, have started a program called our growth program, that we're really introducing as a means to create a more diversified funding model and support our sustainability. So in the growth program, because we are licensed, insured general contractors, we can get paid for work. So there are other programs. For example, KG Community Action Center of Greater Indianapolis receives funding to do weatherization projects in our community. Well, while they have the funding, it's challenging for them to find the workforce to be able to execute on that. So that's where we can step in as a partner and get paid for the work that we're doing. And then that money can be reinvested in the operations of our organization. So we're just starting that, but we're, again, it's our commitment to, as I said, diversify our funding so that we can be a sustainable organization, because with the kinds of numbers that we're posting, clearly the need is out there. And we know that if we just take numbers at a national level, more people are turning 65 in our country this year than ever before. Yet our housing stock is becoming older than it ever has before. So that sort of aligns with the need for home repairs. And then we know, even from our state standpoint, While the national average of older people that want to stay in their homes is around 88%, here in Indiana, we know that that number is actually higher. 95% of older Hoosiers, and that's whether they live in an urban setting or a rural setting, want to stay in their homes as long as possible. So it really underlines the need for what we're doing, and shows, unfortunately, we will have a lot of work to do in the future, but we have to look at how we can be sustainable to do that work.
Now you're in Marion County only?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So our service area, our direct service area, if you are just self-referring or you have a family member who's referring you, if you were to draw a line at Washington Street and head north, we are within the 465 loop for those homeowners that we may serve. But if it is a referral from the Marion County Health Department, because it is the Marion County Public Health Department, we serve anywhere in Marion County for resolving those citations.
Okay, so if it's self-referred is from Washington Street North, is that right? Or
Right, within the 465 loop. Yeah.
okay, all right, but you don't go south on a self-referral.
No, but I will tell you that we actually do a lot of projects south with the citations. There seem
Okay,
to be a lot over there. So
so now is there anyone like you that's in other areas around here, or
we are the only organization that is solely committed to owner occupied repair. And others may have a piece of their program and they do a limited number of owner occupied repairs, but that is our only focus. And while we started out very much in looking at what are those kinds of repairs that individuals just needed help with, when our founders started the organization, we're now seeing that there's very much a role that owner occupied repair can play in the broader discussion of affordable housing. We certainly talk about a focus on production and needing to build more affordable homes, but the reality is we can't build our way out of this affordable housing crisis. So we need to be looking at things more comprehensively, and we need to look at a combination of production and preservation. That's what home repair is about. It's preservation. We obviously need to be addressing affordable rent and tenants' rights, and also then our supportive housing. But the issue of affordable housing is complex, and we need to be sure that we're looking at it the most comprehensively that we can. So that's another, I will say, not a primary reason, but changing our name so that you knew what we did could help maybe ensure that we can have a seat at that table when we're talking about how to address that in our community.
very interesting. I know that there's organizations like Hand up in Hamilton County where
Right.
they will help people get lower price renting and things like that. I know they have waiting lists and what have you, but there's different things going on. There's different pieces of this puzzle, which is good to know, and it's good to know where the different pieces can intersect.
Right. And I think that you make a really good point, Jim. There are a lot of good things going on. Evansville is doing some great work. I think there's a lot of merit to looking at how can we connect those resources, and communicate them in a more organized fashion so individuals know where they can go for that.
Yeah, I know that. Do you guys do like ramps and things like that to get into people,
We
or
do. Yes, we do ramps. We just started that this year, and we've had a long time relationship with Saws.
well, I was going to
And
ask you about that because Saws is
yeah,
is
so we have a relationship with them, and we recognize. I mean, they do a lot of ramps in a year, and they are doing them in other areas outside of Marion County, and so we recognize when we able to discuss it with them that there actually was a need in Marion County to have some help to offset that because they get a lot of requests. And so there's enough room in Marion County for, more than one organization to be addressing ramps.
Okay, so you're augmenting it rather than like partnering with them on it. I didn't know how that works,
At,
but yeah.
at, at this particular point, but they're
Yeah.
making referrals to us too. And that's been sort of our model since we started, because initially we were not doing ramps, and likewise they don't do other kinds of repairs. And when you're talking about meeting with someone who has perhaps lived in their home for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the ramp may have been the issue to bring you out in the first place, but once you get there, you recognize there are other things that need to be done as well. And so saws would make referrals to us for that. And as I said, we would make it on the ramp end, but now we're including that as well. It's not our primary focus because we have again, I said electrical. We do a lot of gutter repair and replacement work. We did receive funding this year for a year-long program, or a little, I guess it's over a year, but funding to be able to support 25 homes at a more of a $10,000 to $15,000 range of repairs. And so those would be things that are more complex, like a full roof replacement or a full HVAC replacement, because other repairs that we do range anywhere from $500 to $1,500 per repair, and we do 2 to 3 repairs per person. So it can end up being closer to the $3,000 to $5,000 range by the time we're done. A couple of other things that maybe distinguish us from other programs. As I said, we do it at no cost to the homeowner. It is not a loan, but it is a free home repair. We also do not require homeowners insurance for you to qualify for our program. And we are not a one and done type of program. So say we came out to your house, Jim, and you needed to have your gutters replaced, and we took care of that for you. And then next year you called us and you have a shed that is falling apart and you need help getting that down. We would come out and do that as well. We do not just say, once you've been served by us, that's it. And that kind of goes along with the philosophy of, we're helping you age in place in your home. Your home is aging alongside of you. And so there are going to continue to be repairs that need to be done. So that supports that philosophy.
Like for instance, when you come out and you're going to do a roof or you got a roof issue, do you ever like pursue to see if there may be a hail damage that is insured, and then you could still do the roof but then get paid to do the other things too or something? I didn't know.
Well, that comes in the assessment piece.
Okay.
So if we've determined if they had homeowners insurance, then certainly when we're up there and taking a look at that and seeing that, we could tap into that as well. But not all of homeowners have homeowners insurance, so that might not be an avenue for them.
I assume that you guys were looking though to make sure.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because resources are resources. So yeah, trying to
That's
figure out
right.
what it
That's
is.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And we've learned that to be pretty creative with how to put that funding together to help meet the needs for someone. And so one of the additions to our program this year that we're very excited about is we were able to bring on a licensed social worker at the beginning of the year, and he heads up our client services department. And again, through the years, while we started out doing repairs, it becomes obvious that sometimes that's my leaky toilet is a reason that brings someone into your house. But when someone comes into your house to assess that, they see that there are other issues going on in your home. There may be food insecurity going on or whatever. And while we recognize we can't be everything to everyone. We do recognize the responsibility of being aware of it, and how do we connect people to the appropriate resources. So that is an important piece for us, and being sure that we keep current with the kinds of resources, the wraparound resources that are out in our community. And I think that, again, when we look at the aging of our community, um, there's now, I mean, I've seen out there in the literature that by 2040, it's expected that at least half of those that are homeowners, they will be 80 or older. And I think when you recognize that kind of age point, then it's a foregone conclusion that that homeowner is going to need to be connected to other resources, whether it's having help connecting with transportation, or again, food access, or whatever. And so being able to be aware of all the kinds of resources that are out in the community, and being able to share that information, I think will become even more important in the years to come.
Well, that sounds kind of scary in and of itself. Anyway, so as far as the
Well, yeah, it's a reality. I think, we and I have to say that and I'm biased to this, but I think we are probably not as cognizant of the aging of our society. I mean, I think we give lip service to that for sure, but actually how that translates into how people are living, and not only in what way are they living in a house or what have you, but how they're living, and do they have access to the resources that they need. And that even includes looking at addressing loneliness, and you know being a part of a community. So anyway, it's a complex
Yes.
issue.
Well, that's one reason that Life's Copilot exists, because when I started getting into I was doing, I got into the senior world as a consumer for about 20 years, dealing with I'm the only sibling that stayed in state. So I had my in-laws, my parents, my uncle.
Yep.
I'm still POA guardian trustee to two of them. So it's kind of that,
Right.
I've been in a
Right.
20-year journey. But then I got into caring transitions, where we help people downsize and move and sell off their stuff and clean out their stuff. And I started going out on this little networking cycle, which that's how we met, right? And
Right.
I started meeting all these people that had all these amazing services that I'd never heard of and didn't know anybody did. What I came to realize was, there's still holes in the system, but there are
Yes.
so many resources, and there's so many programs and so many services available, that most people, the biggest problem is not that they don't exist, but that people don't know about them or how to access them. Like
Right.
yourself, I would imagine that very few people really, I mean, you're doing 800 jobs this year, but I would imagine that it's a very small number of people that know you exist. You know,
Well, it may be that from the standpoint of what they're aware, but I will say that amazingly, we have, in our entire 11 and a half years of history, we've never advertised our services. So I think it is having a variety of different ways that people can find out about the resources. And to be honest, I mean, we have a capacity too.
oh,
So
sure, absolutely.
and when people say, well, gosh, I wish you could you know meet us on the south side or whatever. I mean, where our boundaries are right now is strictly being able to meet the work that we're doing right now. And as we look ahead to 25, and we have seen an increase in our referrals, and that's because I think some of the other resources that may have been out there in the past are not there accessible, and so people are trying to find other ways to get help. And so we have to look at what is it going to take for us to do the work. And we have about close to 20 subcontractors that we work with. And that may be the piece where we have to cut back because we may not have the funding because of the increased demand. So it's a challenging time, but I think we appreciate the opportunity to be on to be here today with you and just spread the word. And also, I think spread the word for, uh, anyone that might be looking for um, something that they want to invest in. Housing is a right. Housing is health, and we are working there to try to help keep people in their homes in a healthy way.
But anyway, and let's face it, ultimately it's a lot less money to be, to do that, so
Well,
so
and we were just in a conversation today with one of our elected officials, and I think we need to acknowledge that once we enter into a time with a new administration, we don't know what the impact of that is going to be on goods. So, the wood that is needed to build new affordable homes may be compromised, even though the strategies are out there and the funding is in place right now. It may be harder to get that dollar to take you to the finish line, depending on what may happen after the first of the year. And it's similar to
it can't be
uh,
worse than the last 4 years. So that
well,
was,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, but I think it's a reality that
yeah.
we need to acknowledge. And that's why I'm saying, um, you know, owner occupied repairs, keeping people where they are is a worthwhile investment. And Rebuilding Together is a national organization, and they've done some of that work because it's always about return on investment. And while it's hard to demonstrated in the true sense of the ROI. They've come up with the social return on investment, and that is that kind of impact that can affect, how much you're tapping into Medicare and Medicaid, preventing falls, lowering numbers of trips to the ER. Those are the kinds of things when your house is safe and you have the kinds of resources that you need to age in place safely, can have a direct return on that investment.
Yeah, we have a situation right now, with Indiana with this new pathways program that everyone's trying to
Yes,
figure out.
right,
Previously, I used to always brag about the fact that we had one of the best waiver programs in the country. Um, Hopefully, once they figure out, we've only had this pathway since July 1st, so, so
yeah,
hopefully they'll
yes,
figure this out. But one of the reasons I thought it made sense was the politicians apparently figured out that it's cheaper to keep someone at home with
right,
home care or with
yep,
assisted living than going into a full-on skilled living or nursing home. You're
right,
looking at a fraction of the cost, and that's what the waiver was able to do.
right.
So it's there's logic that can be applied, to try to
Yeah.
figure out where to get it all into place. So
Well, and I think the thing is too is that we're definitely coming in a time too that collaboration is key. I mean,
oh yeah.
we just need to look at how do we pull more resources together and address these things, and quite honestly put multiple minds to the task, because no one entity or one approach has all the answers. And if we had to agree on anything, I think we could say that the challenges in our community are more complex. So it requires more collaboration and
Well,
a
here's an
comprehensive
example.
answer.
To me, it was, you're talking about, you walk into the house, all of a sudden you find out that, oh yeah, well, it's not just a leaky toilet. We've got a lot of other
Right.
issues here. Um, I had a client that came to me, a realtor called me, which is a lot of our clients come to from that standpoint. But a realtor called that was working with the daughter about trying to get this house listed. So that went from mom and dad's house. It was actually her dad and stepmom. There was
Okay.
another half sister or sister-in-law, or not right sister-in-law, but stepsister or whatever, that had her own opinions from mom. Okay, so you had a lot of family dynamics. But I go out to do the initial meeting with them, and dad's in a wheelchair. the stepmom absolutely should have been in a wheelchair. She was still trying to get around on a walker. And, there was all these conversations about what to do with the house, what to do with contents from the house, what have you. And after I sat down, I walked in and they were completely unsafe. They were hoarders.
Yeah.
How they were getting around, I don't know how they were getting around without falling, with all the stuff on the floor. They were still going up like they had a lift to get upstairs to their bedrooms. If they'd have had a power outage, if they'd have had, if there
Right.
was I don't know how they would have gotten a fireman would have gotten a gurney to get them in and out of there. I mean, it was just, it was an unsafe environment. So after my initial meeting with them, what I was there to do, I'm like, that's not important to you. So
Right.
let's look at. So I ended up
Right.
getting uh I got them with someone that was I talked to the daughter and I said, we need to get them into a safe place. And so
Yeah.
we ended up got them hooked up with a company that helps you find the best senior living place for you, assisted living
Oh,
place.
okay.
So
Mhm.
got them hooked up with him so that he could, help them with that process. Once we
Yeah.
had that, then we came back in and we packed them and moved them and then unpacked them and resettled them. Then we came back and dealt with all the mess. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, but like the priority was we got to get you safe,
Right.
and so
Right.
that's, so that,
And I think that that's such an important point about safety, because you know we really are very appreciative and really recognize the importance of our relationship with the Marion County Public Health Department. I think sometimes they get a bad rap because the context in which it's presented is, well, this individual was cited by the health department. Well, the reality is the health department is citing you because it is a safety issue. So if you have that structure that's in the alley or butts up to the alley in your neighborhood and it is barely standing, it's not only a safety hazard for you if you happen to go out and get something out of that structure, but it also has the potential to fall apart or fall into the alley that it could affect someone else. And so we really need to think about these safety issues. And I think you bring up a good point of we don't know what's going on the inside unless there was a reason to get us in there. So it's very easy to point fingers and say, well, that house isn't taken care of very well because they see a gutter hanging or other kinds of exterior issues. But also there's a whole bunch of interior issues that are going on too. We had a similar situation where we were addressing the removal of contents from a home that had a hoarding issue, and it was exactly that: EMS coming in, not being able to navigate, and it delayed getting one of the members of the household to a facility. But the other thing on this electrical issue, that's a national problem. I mean, the amount of fires that happen due to faulty wiring, and unfortunately, when you have older homes, that is just a natural thing, but you don't think about it as sort of that sight unseen thing. And we had um, our electrician go to a house for a homeowner that had called our office because her electrical outlet wasn't working. So when our electrician came, she answered the door. She was an 80 something year old woman she answered the door with a walker. She had two very young great grandchildren with her that she was taking care of. It was a one bedroom home, and so she had the young children in the bedroom. She wanted them to be in a bed, so she was sleeping on the couch. But when our electrician came in, it looked like something out of Mission Impossible, with the cords being crisscrossed across the room because she's trying to get to any part of an outlet that works. And you just play out that scenario, and we all have unfortunately read those terrible articles in the newspaper on Christmas morning where there's been a house fire because the Christmas tree has been added to the electrical overload. So, what was an electrical outlet, was the initial problem, was actually a house that needed to be rewired, and so we were able to do that. But those are all the silent things that no one sees behind a closed door. And this is an individual that's caring for her great grandchildren, and it's there's a sense of pride, and they've lived in their home a long time. So um it's complicated, but we all need to be looking at it. So
Well, it's one of those things that, I 99% of the places we go are, we just help them pack and move and or get them,
yeah,
get
yeah,
their stuff all. But you constantly walk into places that are not that. Okay. And it's like, you become the how do you fix this? How do you get them, to the next
right,
step?
right.
I walked into a house and I don't remember how we were initially introduced to, but it was a house out of Geist. Okay. So, the outside looked fine, neighborhood fine. Inside, the client, she had just lost her husband and she was blind and he had had cancer for a period of time. He was a hoarder. So you could tell the different parts of the house where she hung out, where she could get around without tripping over all the stuff. And then there was the rest, where that was. There was open water running in through the house. There was leaks and there was pooling of water in the basement. The mold was amazing. The air conditioner didn't work. The pool was they had an outdoor pool. It was just full of mold and it was just a mess. So it turns out that she was not on the mortgage. So
uh,
it was going back to the bank anyway, and it was going to be you know probably $100,000 to repair that house. And so and she didn't have the money. So we were able to help her get moved. She was moving to a condo near her daughter. So we got her moved. And then actually I found an investor that bought a lot of her husband's stuff to get them some money. Okay. But again, every time you walk in the door, it's not necessarily cut and dried. It's not going to be what you thought it was going to be.
well, and you bring up another issue that again is not something that people are necessarily aware of, but the whole issue of who's on the deed and who owns their home, and many think that they are there, that they are listed as the homeowners, and they think that when they want to pass on their home, that they can just name the family member that can get that, and it isn't that. There is a lot of title tanglement that's in our community that people don't understand, and that's another issue. That and how would they know, unless they're made aware of where there might be some resources, and that could go a long way, because this is part of the other reason why we believe so strongly in stabilizing homes and preserving them, is because it is an opportunity to promote generational wealth. And in the neighborhoods where we are, it's not easy to become a homeowner, and you may not qualify for conventional mortgage, but the opportunity to be able to inherit that, but the right pieces need to be in place, and it isn't just something that you can run by assumption, that it will just happen. And it's just really important that we look at all those different aspects.
So what is the process when someone calls the phone number? How does how do they go from making that phone call to getting you guys in there to getting, the next step going?
Yeah. So, as I said, it's important when you call the number. I mean, it will prompt you to answer some questions. So again, it's going to get at some of the criteria that we call out in regards to age or disability, income, the type of projects that you have. And so you leave that message for us, and then someone from our client services team will call you back. So it's important to be sure that when you are prompted to leave a number, that it is a number that we can easily reach you. And that's generally within 48 hours. We have called you back and started the process. Depending on the type of repair that you may need and where we are in the season, because obviously right now, we're not replacing gutters right now. So it may be longer time period that you might have to wait. The other thing is, depending on the type of project, because we have multiple ways that we can address a project. We have a trades training program that we have individuals that are getting practical experience in the trades. So they are a team that we can use to take on those more comprehensive projects. Or if it's something that a group of general volunteers can address, that can factor into where we schedule it. Generally, our waiting time is about 3.5 months, but it again depends on what the type of repair that is needed. And so, as I said, electrical is longer than that, and we've put a hold on that. We put a hold on exterior painting for right now. Our general exterior season is March to November. When we're bringing out volunteers, that generally starts the middle of April to the 1st of November. So there are a lot of factors that go into how to address it, but the important thing is that you use that phone number. You start the process sharing that information. You will be contacted so we can start the file. And then we manage all that. That's part of the project management aspect. And then we start looking at allocating resources. So what kind of labor resources do we need? What kind of financial resources? How much is this particular repair going to cost? So we'll be looking for where the funding's coming for that.
Oh, very good. I am drawing a blank. I've been trying to think of a name of a company or of an organization, but I'm totally spacing it. They're new to the north side. They've been on the south side for a while, but they kind of do kind of like the waiver program, but they're a private insurance agency and they're tied with St. Vincent's. And I'm totally blanking. I want to say
Yeah, it's Pace.
Pace. That I was going to say Face. I knew it was close. Do you
Yeah.
guys do, because it sounds like to me there's some overlap of things that you guys could be doing as well.
So it's so funny that you said that. I had a meeting with them who it was pre we all knew Pathways was going to be launched July 1, but my conversation with them was earlier than that. And it was also before we had sort of launched our growth program as well. And so now that Pathways and more groups have under their belt, so to speak, criteria for looking at how they are going to address the social determinants of housing in that process and keeping somebody community dwelling. I actually have it on my list of calls to reach back out and set up a time to revisit all that. So your timing's impeccable, because I agree. I think that there is opportunity for that. We also have some or an upcoming meeting with an insurance company that is part of the Pathway program. But everybody's trying to figure that out because it's not
Yeah.
been, it's
Well, I know
not
that
been
there.
what anybody's paid for really. So it's a process.
Well, I know that one of the things they were describing to me is that if they picked up Pearl and they were taking her to the clinic, and the driver noticed that something was wrong with Pearl, which she was not her
Yes.
normal self, and then they
Yes.
find out that her air conditioning was out, that they actually had the capacity to come and fix that. Well,
Right.
that seems to me that there's opportunities there to to do things together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding me to revisit my to-do list. But
Well,
you're
like I
right.
said,
And some of it's just been a timing thing. So, when I met with them initially, they had a pretty small, client, list at that particular time, but needless to say, like all of this, the need is only going to continue to grow. And I think that we need all of those programs, pathways and pace and anyone that's addressing that. And some of our healthcare systems very much recognize the role that social determinants of health, food access, and housing play in the overall health and well-being of their patients. And so, we know that most health today is basically attributed to where someone lives and how they live in the community. Only about 20% of healthcare is actually delivered through a healthcare system. So,
Well,
um,
like I said, that's one of the reasons that Life's Copilot exists. Is I'm trying to get consumers to be aware of things. I'm trying to get our different partners to be aware of things.
right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, let me go ahead and show you your little flyer here so you can walk us through that real quick. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Get this done. Here we go.
Okay. So, yeah, the big thing to take away from that is because it's big and bold, is that phone number, that 317-286-2740. So that is the number to keep, and that is the number to share. If you know anyone that you think might need our services. I think too, it is important for neighbors to be looking out for neighbors. If when you think of I mean, we did our annual community event back the end of October, and it's where we recruit 100 volunteers to come out and address multiple projects in a neighborhood. And the oldest homeowner that we were serving that day was 101 years old and had lived in her home 64 years. So the reality is, if you play it back to when she moved in 64 years ago, she was younger and she was outside. Her husband was taking care of the yard. They were very aware of what the exterior of their home looked like because they were out and around it. But as she's gotten older, she's not aware of those kinds of things. And so that is where it is helpful when a neighbor or a family member can just see these signs of some things that need to be addressed. So the up at the top to the left, it talks about our qualifications, and again, that's the 62 or older, or have a disability. That you own your own home, but again, I qualify that you do not have to have homeowners insurance. You live in Marion County in the service area that I described, and that you fit with our income requirements, which is at or below 150% of the federal poverty level, or at or below 30% of AMI. We address those kinds of accessibility and safety repairs, work with the health department to address citations. And those generally, when we're addressing a citation, that generally has more than one repair. It's complex. And so we may put multiple resources to that. It may take us a while to address all of those repairs because we're using a combination of funding and volunteers. But the great thing is that once we're involved working with the health department, that is enough for them to step back, because we have such a great relationship, and to recognize we will keep them updated on how the repairs are going. And that doesn't get on any kind of a time clock with them, since we're involved. So that's a great thing about that partnership. Drain cleaning, electrical, our exterior repairs, siding is oftentimes an issue. The gutter repair and replacement, we do an awful lot of that. And we do gutter cleaning as well. HVAC, doing those kinds of furnace repairs or replacements that may be needed. Interior cleaning is on a case by case basis, and it really depends on the extent of the issue. But you brought up an example, Jim, of hoarding, and unfortunately, that is a challenging problem for many individuals for a variety of reasons, and so it takes a special, you know, addressing that with special resources, and so we kind of evaluate that case by case. Exterior painting, plumbing, roof repairs. We can do a lot with roof repairs. And again, if we're getting it on the early end, I think, many times people don't think about that, but you can repair a roof for a long time before it has to be replaced. But with our program that we've got, our stabilization grant, we are also able to replace um, roofs with that program. Then major yard cleanup, that kind of overgrowth that can really be a safety issue because it's so overgrown that maybe you can't even see your door, or it causes tripping hazards as you're walking through the yard because of overgrowth. So those are the kinds of things that we address. But if you would like to apply for things online, our website is listed as well. It's home repairs for good .org. So just spell out the whole name, homerepairsforgood.org, and that will also populate form that you can complete if you prefer to do that. That's also if you would like to volunteer with us, you can find out about that. Or if you would like to donate to support our services, you can access as well from the website.
Well, that's excellent. Well, I will attach this to the where it's going to be on our website and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
what I was going to suggest too, again, I want to thank Lisa for coming and sharing with us. I want to let you know that Life's Copilot, we do these expert panels twice a month. We're not doing another one in December because it gets right into Christmas and all that kind of stuff. But January 9th, we have one coming up that is going to be interesting for people. We have Newt Ratto, who is he does help people find the right senior living place. Okay, that's one of the things he does.
Oh, okay.
But he has a service he provides where if someone has to take the keys away from mom or dad,
Oh,
he will actually come in to help that conversation. So,
yeah.
which I think he's the only one I've ever heard of that does that. So I think
Yes.
that should be an interesting conversation. And then we have one coming up on what is Adult Day. So we've got, we have these coming up. So you can
Yeah.
always find those things on Life's Copilot, and you've got events, you've got resources where we store a lot of these things. So that's all available for all of us here. So so that's
Great.
so
Well, thank you.
lifescopilot.com. And thank you for being here. I think this was great. So I will get you a copy of the video. Do it as you please. So
Okay.
we'll go
Do
from
you
there.
do you do you edit out dog barking and out
No, I
of
do
your?
not. It's a one shot thing, and whatever happens happens. So
All
my
right. Well,
dog was
hopefully it
barking and
wasn't.
taking.
Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't too distracting. So.
Well, I turned my mute on and then went from there. So,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right.
Well, I live for the day when our dog will do what your dog is doing, laying down beside you. So,
I'll see you later. Bye bye.
okay, thank you. Bye.